Hi class, let's move on to chapter 3, listening. Chapter 2 discussed a little bit about how to be an ethical listener, but chapter 3 goes into much more detail. As I had said with the other lecture, I not only grade you on your presentation skills, I grade you also on your listening skills. I think it is extremely important for your classmates' success that you are a proper listener in class. So we probably all know that, listening is an important skill to master, and hearing and listening are definitely different processes. Hearing is a physiological process that involves, scientific stuff, the vibration of sound waves on the eardrums and the firing of electrochemical impulses from the inner ear to the brain. Listening is much more than that. It's a mental process. Listening is a mental process that involves paying close attention to and making sense of what is heard. And, believe it or not, most people are poor listeners. In our communication-oriented age, however, listening is more important than ever. Listening is an important job skill, and effective listening is used in all aspects of life, including academics. Listening is also an excellent way to improve your own speaking skills. So there's 4 types of listening that I'm going to talk about: appreciative, empathic, comprehensive, and critical. And I'm going to go over each one separately on the following slides. The first type of listening is appreciative listening, listening for pleasure or enjoyment. This could be listening to your favorite song, listening to the words in a film, an entertaining speech perhaps. This is the first type of listening. You're listening purely for enjoyment. Uh, what's different from appreciative listening is showing someone empathy. You're listening to provide emotional support for the speaker. This would be if you were a sympathetic friend listening to your friend's problems. That is showing empathy for him or her. The next 2 are really what you're going to be doing in our class. So comprehensive listening, that focuses on understanding the speaker's message. You are listening to this lecture right now to understand the message of chapter 3. That's comprehensive listening. The last one is critical listening. You will also be doing this in class. You're listening to evaluate the message. So you're evaluating a message to either accept it or reject it. Maybe a sales pitch or political campaign speech. Chapter 3 deals with critical listening and, like I said, the comprehensive listening. You use your mind as well as your ears. Because comprehensive and critical listening are closely tied to critical thinking, these are the most important forms of listening in public speaking. So there are many reasons why we're a poor listener, and the 4 main causes are on this slide. The first one, not concentrating, is one cause of poor listening. Listening too hard can also interfere with effective listening. I remember when I was a student, I did this in my harder statistics classes. I'd be trying to focus so hard on what the professor was saying because statistics was difficult for me that I ended up not hearing anything. So believe it or not, listening too hard can also impede your listening. Jumping to conclusions also prevents listeners from hearing messages accurately. You think you know what the speaker is going to say and you jump to conclusion. And finally, focusing on delivery and personal appearance instead of listening to the speaker's message is another cause of poor listening. So there are ways to improve your listening in this class. I'm going to go over 7 different ways over the next few slides. The first step to improve listening skills is to take listening seriously. Take this class seriously. A second way is to become an active listener. And while you're doing that, you can also do the third thing: resist distractions. Work on your listening. A fourth way, and this goes into the other part, is to not be diverted by appearance or delivery. Suspend your judgment. This is a 5th way to improve your listening skills. Even if you think you know what the speaker is going to say, suspend judgment until hearing the speaker's full message. A 6th way to improve your listening is to develop strong note-taking skills. I had said in the first chapter that you cannot interrupt the speaker and ask questions during the speech, but feel free to ask questions when the speaker is done. Write down questions, take notes of the interesting things your classmates are saying. And a 7th way to improve your listening skills is to focus one's listening, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide in more detail. So there's ways to focus your listening. Effective listeners focus on the speaker's main points. You're going to realize that when you put your speeches together, you're going to have at least two or three main points in each speech. So as a listener, you want to focus on those main points. What are they? Effective listeners focus on the quality of the speaker's evidence. Is the evidence sound? Is it accurate? Is it effective? And finally, effective listeners also focus on the speaking techniques that they can use in their own speeches. I've had a lot of students come up after class and say, wow, John did this one aspect so well. I think I'm going to try to do that in my own speech. So you can see that if you're an effective listener, it'll actually make you a better public speaker. You can listen to what other people are saying and maybe even borrow techniques or learn from them. All right, so now you are done with reading chapter 3. You can focus on how you can be a better listener in our class.